tonight I want to talk to you about perfect timing, synchronism, and the nature of a holographic universe. This, by the way, is a very exciting topic, I think, and if you are interested in manifesting, if you're interested in magic and seeing your life be blissful and prosperous and anything that you can imagine in all the ways that you want to experience this existence in a magical and spiritual manner, this is actually something that you can start doing right now. You need very little understanding, and it's a kind of instantaneous magic. And I speak from experience because when I first had opened up to my metaphysical understanding more fully, or had a spiritual awakening, however you want to call it, perfect timing was a practice and an experience that I was able to have right away, even while I still had a lot of shadow that I may have been moving out, the unresolved issues, the psychological needing to reprogram my mind and all of that, which of course I still do, it's an ongoing process. But with having done very little work, with having only as much understanding as I had of the universal laws, which, by the way, we don't have to understand the universal laws in order for the universal laws to work. It's Abraham Hicks, she always says, you don't have to understand gravity in order for gravity to work. If you don't understand how gravity works, you're not going to walk outside and accidentally fall up. Now, of course, she's making a metaphor to physical laws and the universal spiritual metaphysical laws, but it's true. It's true. Whether you believe or understand that you create your own reality, you still do. Anyway, so perfect timing. It's basically just a really cool magic trick that you can live your life by. Kind of simply by the mantra of perfect timing. Kind of simply by just invoking perfect timing. But I'm going to give you a little education in what is happening so that it can help you to invoke it, actually. All right, so perfect timing. Well, let me tell you a little bit of my background with it. Like I said, it was something that I just stumbled upon that worked, even though I didn't completely understand it or even necessarily completely believe that I could engage with it, that I could be a partner with perfect timing, which is actually what is happening. Excuse me. Now, I've told this story before in relation to how intention works. Whether we're perfect with how we hold our intention or not, our intention still works. It's basically like driving a car. Intention is. Setting intention is not just a single event, it is a journey. So we set an intention and we continue to set it. This is basically a process of faith. And we don't have to be perfect about it. As long as we're basically steering the car toward our destination, pretty well, we're still going to make it there. That's how intention works. Perfect timing works in a very similar manner. The thing is, you don't have to be perfect in order to experience perfect timing. That's how powerful the universe is. That's how powerful you are, actually, too. All we have to do is have a moment of understanding and aligning with or invoking perfect timing. One moment in order for it to work for us. So we can have one moment of basically perfection, and it doesn't matter if all of the other moments that are surrounding it are not perfect, because that perfect moment, that moment of perfection, still must unfold, because that is the nature of energy. It can't be destroyed, right? You can't destroy energy. So if you have a moment of perfect timing in your thought, feeling space, in the non-physical space, then it must unfold. Also, I can tell you how you can always course correct to perfect timing. I'll explain that. But one of my stories that really helped me to understand how perfect timing works even when I'm not perfect. I was driving to a class. I was running late for a class, and it was actually for a mediumship class or some kind of spiritual development class. And I was late the week before, and obviously they're super nice and everything, but who likes to walk into a meeting or a class late? The door's closed already, and you walk in and someone's already talking, and you're like, sorry, go get it. Okay, yeah, okay. And the chair goes, brr, and you're like, sorry, I'm sorry. There was a lot of traffic. No, never mind. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, horrible, right? Who likes to do that? So that's what I was driving in the car going. I was so mad at myself. I was going to be like 7 minutes late. Oh, this van is in front of me. 8 minutes late. that's how I was going along. I'm looking at the navigation, that ticking time bomb of the navigation telling you how many minutes you're going to be late, and it goes back and it goes forward again and it goes back and forth. I'm driving, and I was like, I had been experiencing perfect timing. Me and a friend who also basically had a spiritual awakening that in tandem with me, like it happened at the same time for us. We had both discovered perfect timing. Just basically, it was like a magic trick. It was almost like a spell we could cast on ourselves, like abracadabra or perfect timing, and then it would seem to be, it would happen. And so I was like, okay, well, I was driving and I was like, perfect timing. And I was saying it literally out loud through gritted teeth, because I was really mad at myself and I was not giving myself grace. Maybe I wasn't being quite as dramatic as I'm saying to myself. Maybe I was being like, well, I did the best I could. Well, and and sometimes when I'm trying to have compassion for myself or give myself grace, I'll actually, it's a non-present thing to do, but I'll actually go over the actions that led me up to it, and I'll forgive myself for them, or I'll understand. I'll have understanding for myself. Well, it's like, well, what was I going to do? You know what I mean? Like Franzi, my kitty cat, this was going on with him, so of course I'm going to take care of him. And going through that and everything, and I was like, perfect timing, and I was like, again, another non-present thing, imagining walking into that classroom and being all like embarrassed. And anyway, driving the car, like I said, I use the metaphor of it's like driving a car. In this situation, I was driving a car, and I was like going perfect timing, really, really irritated. And I was like, you know what? By the time I got there, I'd like really just like, well, perfect timing. I don't know. Basically, I was like, perfect timing, because if I'm late and I'm embarrassed, well, that's who I am. I'm the person who's late and who's embarrassed. And that's the truth about me. That's my truth. I'm late and I'm embarrassed. That's okay. That's the perfect timing that I needed to experience. Does that make sense? And so then I showed up for the class. I walk in and I'm like, I'm just like walking at a normal pace at this point, because it's like 6 minutes past. I walk up there and out front, and walking up to the door, and the door is closed, and there are like 4 people standing out in front of the door. And then I'm approaching, and I didn't know these women. I hadn't met them yet. And I'm walking up, and right as I walk up to like greet these strangers, the door opens, and it's the teacher, and she goes, Oh, you guys are already here. Oh my gosh, I thought we were starting at 11:45, like it was 11:36, and she thought we were starting 15 minutes later. And so it was perfect timing. Our teacher like had it wrong, That's a magic. That's a magical thing that happened. And so I'm going to explain to you how we can engage in it by understanding that we live in a holographic universe, and also explaining how, again, when I'm teaching, my nose itches or my heart starts to swell. It's a channeling thing. And so that's one of the first lessons I learned. So, but like I said, we can actually course correct from wherever we are. So as I said, maybe I wasn't perfect when I started to invoke perfect timing. I had the gritted teeth and I was mad at myself, but I started to talk myself out of it. And by the time I got there, I was like, perfect timing no matter what. I accept it. And I basically accepted myself and accepted everything in the situation. And what happened was, because this is a holographic universe, you know what a holograph is, right? Or a hologram? A holograph is basically just an energy picture. Like in Star Wars, and Princess Leia gets beamed out of this light thing, and there's a miniature version of her, and she's like, Luke, we need your help. Luke, we need your help. Actually, I don't remember what she says, but I remember it being on a loop. And so that's a holograph. Everything really is a holograph like that, because it's all just made of energy. So maybe it's not like a light picture as, the way we're experiencing it. We're experiencing it as though it's something dense, but that's just more light. That's just more energy, just a more compact, full of more energy in a sense. You know what I mean? Rather than being a hollow shell, it's just filled in a bit, but it's still made of the same thing. It's still a holograph. And it still gets beamed out by a frequency. That's how Leia was being beamed out by a light frequency. Same thing. So the frequency of the holographic universe is all of us creating it. We're all creating frequencies all the time. The frequency, more or less, basically, it's so what you are exuding out of your beingness. And it kind of is the composition of your feelings, not your emotions like I'm sad, but like your feelings. Like that's you existing in a non-physical way. It's a feeling kind of emittance. That's what frequency is. It's like, can you feel me on that? That this right now, everything that I'm made up of, that is my vibration, that's how I am being and living and creating in this moment. It is basically kind of like my feelings. That's the frequency. That's the radio tower signal I'm sending out. And that is the energy that is creating the holograph of my reality. And that includes these cards, that includes the phone that's in front of me, and all of you on the other side who are listening in all time and space. I'm creating you. I'm a megalomaniac. No, but you're creating me as well. We're creating everything, and that goes for also the frequency that of everything else. So like my cat who's crying outside the door right now, he's creating as well with his frequency. We're all co-creating this. I am individually, and then all of the cooperative components of the universe, all of the energy of the universe are creating this holograph right now. So just to give you an idea of how instantaneous and how demystified it really is, it's simple. Now here's the other thing, is that also in a holographic universe, and in a universe that is eternal, the highest truth is eternity, meaning that there is no time. There is no linear time. We just orient to it in the physical experience because we do have an orientation of this life begins and ends, but really everything is just in continual change. Even our beginning was a continuum, and right now, if I'm always just changing. And the death of my body is really just a continuation, a changing of the energy form. The energy just transmuting from one to the other, and that's happening consistently. It never stops happening. So energy is changing, but it can't be destroyed. So there is no time. The universe is holographic. And since energy cannot be destroyed, like I said, in the moment where I have the experience of perfect timing, that can't be destroyed. It has to unfold. So every potential reality that can happen, that is emitted by a frequency, is. All right? Because there's no time, so it is. It exists always. And since energy cannot be created or destroyed, all of the realities that I can conceive of, that's a potential frequency, that's a potential conception, is. So my showing up to that class late and being embarrassed it exists. There is a potential reality in which that happens. And I don't say did happen, is happening now, it just is. There's also a potential reality where the teacher thought that the class was going to be later. That exists in the holographic universe where there is no time. And so basically we can just orient our frequency, our belief, our awareness to whatever potential reality we want. Boom, right? Crazy. Am I blowing your mind a little bit? Let it be blown. Because you're waking up to a different reality. If your mind is being blown a little bit, that's awesome. It's a different kind of waking up. You're able to move into this perspective of the creator, of the player of the game, of the one who is controlling it. So just to give you an idea of this, I don't know if you've heard of Darryl Anka. If you heard me teach before, I mention him fairly frequently. Darryl Anka is a channel, and he channels I think he's 5 or 6D ET, an extraterrestrial or ultra-dimensional or whatever, who is called Bashar. So this entity that he channels is associated with a planet called Essassani. And so he channels Bashar, and his people, Bashar's people, are helping us. And so they're benevolent, and they are a higher dimension, and they know more than us, and they can time travel, and they know how to channel messages. So they're interested in helping us. So one of the quotes that I've heard Bashar say several times is, you can write this, stitch this on a pillow. You are selecting billions per second of potential realities. It's kind of hard to say. You're selecting billions of potential realities per second. So every second, you're selecting billions of potential realities. Billions. Every second. Because just think about it, there are billions of components just in my little room here, right? And I've selected the one that I want to be my reality in each second, the composition of it all together. So you are able to select any potential reality every single moment, every single second. So I oriented in the moment that I chose to experience perfect timing, the timing where the teacher thought that the class was late and nobody cared at all, and nobody was inconvenienced. Or at least not in my reality. I wasn't inconvenienced. And the students didn't care either, because they don't mind standing out and saying hello to each other for 5 minutes, you know what I mean? So basically, there are billions of parallel timelines of yous. Mind-blowing again, right? Can you see you all lined up like at the Rockettes and to all eternity? And you can just be that next one, and just have your consciousness select that one, and now I'm in this one. Select that one, and now I'm in this one. So that's why you can course correct. That's why you can course correct at any time, because at any time that you choose to select a new potential reality, then that alignment in the past suits that perfect timing as well. So let's say along my trip to this class that it seemed I was going to be late for, I actually, there's one reality where I picked up a phone call and took it, and it made me even 5 minutes later, and I shouldn't have done that because it was a telemarketer. You know what I mean? Like, that was my judgment. Let's see, that is a reality as well. Well, in the reality where I align with perfect timing, and the thing that I shouldn't have done, the wrong thing to do, that telemarketer somehow made it even more perfect. That, let's say perhaps being given 5 minutes later made me miss an accident by being ahead of it, or something like that. You see what I mean? It aligns it in the past. Or another, I've said it in this way before too, is that the moment that you identify with love or unconditioned, basically love is so powerful that it can make a wrong thing right. So we have things that happen to us in our life that were challenges, or even trauma or pain. And when we are healed from it, we recognize, because the healed state means that we're no longer harmed by it, that thing helped us to grow. And because that thing happened, I now understand other people's situations, and I learned so much from it. And I gained all of these experiences and these friends and this deepening of my character. I don't have to even give you an example to have you pick one of those out for yourself. See, so that healed state is being fully identified with love, and it actually made this other thing happen as a quality to your timeline. That's because you shifted timelines. You shifted timelines, and then the timeline behind you oriented to it being the accurate thing to happen, the good thing to happen. So I just want to end this with the idea of synchronism, which is basically what we're talking about. We're talking about perfect timing. It's another way to say it. We always talk about synchronicities. You know, there are, events happening, or we even talk about the different signs. Like, I saw 111 and 222 a couple of times today when I was sort of challenged to stay in alignment. I was feeling a little annoyed at myself, and I was struggling a little bit, and I was reaching for alignment. I felt like I was slipping out of alignment, and I saw 111 and 222. So that helped me. That put me over the edge. But here's the thing I want you to know about those synchronicities, or synchronism in general. It is totally fine. We feel very much like, oh, the angels are giving me that. Oh, my guides are giving me that. Oh, God is giving me that. That's true, absolutely. But you are also giving yourself to it, giving it to yourself. You are also creating it. It isn't just a one-way street, like you were just given this thing that was just placed upon you. You agreed to have that experience, because again, in a universe that's made of energy, that's holographic, Sorry, I got thrown off track. We can't have anything in our experience with which we don't have a like frequency. So everything in our experience we agree with. Our frequency matches it. That's basically what the law of attraction is. So synchronism is something that you can align with at any time. And also, I want you to know that every time you have something synchronistic happen, it is a wonderful, joyful, blissful thing to say thank you to the universe for. But it's also something to love yourself for, because you created it as well. And so it's just a way to recognize your own self-worthiness and your self-sovereignty and your power, and to be empowered, and to love yourself, and to thank yourself, and have deep affection for yourself for creating it with you as well. Synchronism is something that we can experience in every single moment. And we can even experience it by just choosing that it feels better to believe that something good will come of this, and therefore that's where I'm going to stay, and then miracles happen. So that's actually a good affirmation, besides like just invoking perfect timing, is also, I wonder what good will come of this. It is a high vibrational question, and it really helps if something is throwing us off, big or small. I wonder what good will come of this, because we know how powerful we are, and we know how powerful the universe is, and that miracles can be born of absolutely anything. I wonder what good will come of this.